Hey guys, Professor Bill, Comic Book University, and the Immortal Hulk, issue number 29. What do I say every single time this issue comes out? Every single time is a badass book. Look, the cover, Mr. Alex Ross, thank you, but the cover doesn't actually do the justice of what we see inside the books. Holy crap. Is this the first time that Joe Bennett has actually outdone Alex Ross? I can't believe I even said that out loud. Ooh. Anyway, no, it's a possibility. This is a really strangely titled book. Also, like that's really what this issue is called "Eat or Be Eaten." I'm sorry, what now? Like, dude, this is an amazing book, amazing issue. But this one time, this is the one that we're gonna remember for a long time. Remember that one issue number 29, Immortal Hulk, was called "Eat or Be Eaten"? Like, what the hell was that? They explain it in the book. But even in context, it still doesn't make a lot of sense. I was reading, I was like, what? And then the issue is called Eat or Be Eaten. You see at the end, I'm just like, what? Whatever. Freaking title can't be perfect, okay? So finally, a flaw. Okay, there's finally a flaw in the title. It's about damn time. It only took 29 issues, and the flaw is the title. Okay, anyway, freaking fantastic issue. Like, this is a thinking man's comic book, especially if you read Psychology Today. If you got a subscription, I just say it like me. Should I do reviews of Psychology Today? Because you know it's not the only, comic books aren't the only magazines I read. Anyway, let's get talking about who made this comic book. Then we'll start talking about this book. So we got Al Ewing on writing, Joe Bennett on pencils, Roy Jose Bellardino Bravo and Cam Smith doing the inks, Paul Mounts doing the colors, VC's Corey Petit doing the letters, Alex Ross doing the cover, and Nick Bradshaw with Jason Keith doing the variant cover art. The Hulk was created by Stan Lee and Jack frickin' Kirby. Okay, so we got Dario Agger, okay? All throughout this comic book, listen, like there's so much to talk about with this book, all right? The placement of the panels is freaking expert, all right? How you'll have, like, here, let's introduce this area and let's introduce this area. Now we're actually going to use both areas, but one strip of panels will be this group talking, the next strip of panels will be this group talking, and it'll keep going intermittently. And they'll actually make it so that you're actually skipping. So even when you go on the next page, you don't accidentally read straight through from page to page. No, you know to read these two panels and then go down that page before you skip over to the next page. Dude, like this is wicked. And sometimes it feels confusing and you're stuck reading it again. Make no mistake. Does that get annoying? No. Because a lot of times when you are reading something, or when you are forced to reread something in here, you find something that you would have missed if you didn't reread it. Yeah, it's like that. It feels like all of the most important scenes are scenes that you have to reread just to make sure that you really get everything that's trying to be explained to you there. Dario Agger sets a trap for the Immortal Hulk with his team that is all under threat of getting their heads crushed. One guy gets his head partially crushed. I'm not a big fan of getting my head partially crushed. I'm just saying you might as well go all the way because I don't want to live like that for the rest of my life. That's just not cool. That's not cool. At the same time, I'm thinking a cattle prod would do Dario Agger good. But you know what? That's just me. That's just me. Shove it right up his ass sideways. Mother fat head. Try to crush my head. What's the matter with you? I got anger issues. Maybe that's why I enjoy reading The Hulk and Psychology Today. The point is, dude, freaking Immortal Hulk, look, they got like their teleportation system, and I honestly wish that they would have just mentioned that they got this off of Alpha Flight technology, because that would have been freaking perfect, all right? Alpha Flight, specifically the Guardian, Heather Hudson, she had the capability, and James Hudson had it before her, but they've got this teleportation technology. All it really is the rotation of the Earth, and then you just simply freeze someone in time and then unfreeze them. All right, well, not in time, but in space. You freeze them in space, and while the Earth is still rotating, boom, all of a sudden, you appear over there. And of course, you teleport faster depending on how close you need to go, because if you're going far, well, that's a different story. Anyway, that was pretty interesting. Doesn't exactly work scientifically like that because the Earth doesn't rotate that damn fast, but you get the gist. And just the idea that they would have, improved off of that tech, because that's what it sounded like when they were talking about in here. Love that. Love that. I'm just saying, kind of love that. So, moving on. there's a bunch of monsters placed separately all over certain areas. Now, Gamut Base does have this tech, this transportation teleportation tech available, but it's only into certain areas. They got to get to a certain area and then they got to jump in. This guy was placed. This one monster, basically the Harryhausen monster. I love that. First time I ever heard of Harryhausen's was actually in the Monsters Inc. Pixar movie, which is funny. And then I'm just like, oh my god, I'm in love with this stuff. Anyway, these giant freaking monsters, and this particular one was Harryhausen. Now that's actually the monster that you see on the cover of the book. I'm going to tell you right now that the book, the cover, it does not do it justice. Look, all the love in the world, again, to Mr. Alex Ross, but that monster on the front simply does not compare to that monster there. Granted, all these guys, those beautiful popping colors, man, oh my god, that's gorgeous. Granted, this is a double-page spread, but all that being said, dude, this is sick. If there was like one less head, it would look like that dragon from the middle end of Willow. I'm just saying. This is beautifully, frighteningly scary, and I love this. I love this. I'm telling you, man. Body horror comic book right here. Anyway, so Hulk's got to deal with all this, and then he winds up basically have to go into the belly of the beast. So eat or be eaten. Yeah. It's still a stupid name. I'm putting it out there, all right? I'm putting it out there. It's a dumb name. Everything else in this comic book, everything else in this title is just freaking amazing. So we get a little bit of Doc Samson in this, Dr. Leonard Samson, and he's talking to Betty. And I love that, like, he's the shrink in the middle of a freaking madhouse. He's talking to Betty Banner, who's in her human form, and they're alone in the cafeteria. And I'm not entirely sure, but I think that Leonard Samson double dips. I could be wrong. Maybe I'm not reading this properly, but it looks kind of like he double dips. I'm just going to put that out there. So, ketchup and french fries, all that good stuff. So he goes and he says to Betty about how the Hulk was able to come out in the daylight now because Banner has always been that stop guard. Even though he thought he never had control, he had subconscious control. He always has subconscious control. That's why a lot of the Hulks could only come out when Hulk either lost control, or in this particular case, like originally, or the Joe Fixit version, only when it was nighttime, because he was embarrassed of the Hulk. So he came out at night when people wouldn't see him. Okay, and then in the daytime, oh, no, it's light. No, you gotta, I'm embarrassed of you. You gotta go away. Interesting. But is Banner becoming more like these guys? Or are these guys becoming more like Banner? Or is it just someplace meeting in the middle? You know, these different versions of the Hulk, including the Devil Hulk. I'm really getting into this. Meanwhile, he's talking to Betty Banner, right? Bruce Banner has to come in and talk for a minute, and as he comes in, Betty Banner, who was eating a salad in her human form, is suddenly eating a freaking heavy, meaty sandwich in her skulky form, the harpy form. You know what I'm saying? And it's disgusting. Look, like these guys had fun drawing that, because she's like, with the big tooth and the teethy grin and the freaking segmented mouth, like, oh my god, that's freaking disgusting. It was really awesome. It's really awesome. Dude, this book just, it gets it. It gets it. I got to be careful not to show you the last page of the book, but I do want to show you the cover of the next issue, because hell's to the yes. So we're finally going to get some Zeminu in this. Yes, this is the guy everybody keeps talking about. Oh, the original Hulk, the original Hulk. It's not the original Hulk. This is the first character that Marvel called the Hulk. All right. Nowadays, he's called Zeminu. In fact, if you want to read about this, go to your local comic book store and ask to see the True Believers comics. The True Believers books, for the sake of conversation, the True Believers comics are those $1 comic books that come out at your local comic book store. Yeah, you come by and you just pick up those for one lousy dollar. Some of them might even be in your not your dollar bin, like your 50-cent bin or something like that, because some of them just overproduced. But one of them is actually this one, and it's funny because in my comic book store, which is a big comic book store, Gotham Central Comics and Collectibles in Mississauga, it's, what do you call it? These actually sold out. Yeah, it's like that. But if you can get your hands on one of these, then get your hands on one of these, because this is the original story. Anyway, love that, and of course, it's freaking Alex Ross. I mean, just look, it's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. And yes, that actually looks like Xemnu. Xemnu, I think is how you pronounce it. So anyway, and he has the power to hypnotize people. Okay, this is a freaking awesome book. I can't wait to see what they're about to do with Xemnu. I have no idea where they're going with this. But hells to the yes, I want to see this in a major way. After we deal with Harryhausen and those other monsters, because it looks like only the Hulk was actually dispatched. I don't know what's up with the other monsters. Like, did some of the other Hulk busters, I guess, get detached over that? I don't know. But right now, it's like nonstop action. You have a moment to rest? Good. Catch two Z's. Get back to fighting. Because Dario Agger has a plan for you, and you're not going to like it. Guys, I'm out of here. Professor Bill, Comic Book University. Class dismissed.